Army. 94.9. Zrock.
Hey, I'm starting the show a little early today because I have a special guest. I have Tim in the studio from Rise Against. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming by. We were having some serious discussions about kids off of the air and food they will and won't eat and poop habits. Rock and roll!
In my band, we call those discussions barely punk discussions. And we want to start a website called barelypunk.com, and it's like your favorite punk rockers like mowing their lawn. You know what I mean? I'm like,
that's awesome. Giving you tips on how to cure diaper rash and things like that.
Totally.
Yeah, that's awesome. Playing tonight at the Saltaire. Tickets are still available, a couple, so you can pick those up with Bad Religion, which is that's a pretty righteous bill, right?
We are some lucky dudes, that's for sure.
How is that? I mean, you guys had dude from Black Flag produce the record, right, with you, and in the coolest name of a studio, the Blasting Room. Is that what it's called?
Room, yeah, Bill Stevenson from Black Flag and from The Descendants and all.
Right, right. So working with that guy, and I was watching some of the webisodes of him, like. He'll like give you the business sometimes.
He's a brilliant man. So
is it easier to take the business from a guy like that because you kind of grew up kind of being a fan of his?
Totally.
Could Jesse produce your record and be going like, that riff was no good? And would you be willing to listen as much?
I think that's one of the reasons we go to Bill is because he's one of the only people that we would take that kind of, you know what I mean? Otherwise we'd probably be really indignant, rockers. And instead, like if Bill from Black Flag says it to you, you don't argue with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? You take it. Like he's one of those guys where I will accept his critique.
Right, because you're gonna say like, what do you know?
Yeah,
Black Flag. What do you know about about music? That's cool. I'm in the studio with Tim from Rise Against. The show is tonight. New record is Endgame. I told you this off the air too. Help is on the way. It's a new single, and it's that stuck in my head song right now. It's the song when I'm singing in my head when I'm changing diapers.
Oh,
yeah. So I'll be singing that, and my son's sitting there while I'm changing diapers. So I don't know if that's how you envisioned it when you wrote it.
It's funny because the song is about changing diapers, actually. So
and the help never arrives. I'm there by myself changing the diaper.
It's kind of cryptic, but it's essentially about changing diapers.
See, I knew it. Really, though, the song is about the New Orleans thing, and so it's not about diapers. It's about the New Orleans thing, and maybe talk a little bit about have you had experience down there that kind of led to that song?
It was actually my lack of experience, and then I eventually went down to New Orleans last year and spent like 3 or 4 days with a group of musicians. It was part of this like almost like this activist retreat type thing, and it was my first time really getting to know the city, and I walked away with this really like connection and this idea of what the city was about, and what a sad story that is currently being told, and I felt compelled to put it into a song that kind of borrowed from that imagery that was happening while I was there.
Well, it's still pretty amazing about how it's still being affected.
It is, and it's now, and the spotlight has sort of shifted away from it,
right? And
so the song was kind of designed like there's still a lot going on here, and there's a lot of it too that's like some of it is natural disaster, obviously, and there's a lot of it that is man-made disaster, and that's what I think people kind of overlook.
Right. Well, especially when you live in this country, the most we have the most of really anywhere in the world, and you'd think that stuff could have been kind of snuffed out a long time ago and taken care of.
Totally. Yeah. It was amazing to see that stuff happening within our border.
Right. It really is. Here with Tim from Rise Against. The show's tonight at the Great Saltaire. The record Endgame is out there now. That's what I like about your songs too. Is they're first good songs. Like there's songs that'll stick in your head. And there's a cool guitar riff and they're cool lines. But then it starts you thinking about things, and then I start to feel guilty for not being more socially active, and then it gets my butt off the couch though. So I mean, there you go.
Yeah, they're like gateway drugs to intellectualism.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're not like lewds necessarily, because lewds make you tired, don't they? Jesse, you know about lewds? Nobody knows about lewds anymore. It's like from the 70s. I don't either. By the way, for the record, I don't know either.
We need to bring lewds back.
Right, make them popular again. I think that could. I mean, song idea. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're remaking movies, they're remaking bands, like all that stuff. Let's bring it back. It's nostalgia.
Right. We don't need these new fancy designer drugs when you can. This is the message we want to to people.
I know.
We should be doing lewds.
I know. Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe tell me then about. I've read. Wait, I have this line that I want to quote you.
Of course.
Because I saw it on the internet, and obviously that means it's real.
It's got to be true.
I mean, I don't know if you said it or not, but you said it because
as long as it's on the internet.
It's appearing on the internet. But it was about the song "Architect," which I think is a really cool song on the record as well. And I was going to play it, but there's some words in it that I can't use. Right. There's a line in it about Quaaludes that I can't use.
Stupid Rise Against singer.
Yeah, that guy with his language. Yeah. But you were talking about it, and the line you used was every right that we enjoy as Americans, somebody was out there with a picket sign to get it. And I thought, if you didn't use that line, you should take credit for it, because that's an awesome line. Yeah, but that made me really think about it, and I'm probably going to steal that line from you.
You should steal it, yeah.
And make it my own.
Probably stole it from somebody else anyway. But that's what that song was about. It was about like being like the architects of the generation you want to live in, of the
Right.
place you want to live in, of the world you want to live in. And, I think that a lot of my own generation is so sort of takes a lot of what we have for granted. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we don't realize the fight that took place to get
Right.
these things. You know what I mean? And that fight never stopped. There's an opposition constantly waiting for you to let down your guard so they can take that stuff back. So they can take all those rights that you fought for back.
We just had something here in Utah happen not too long ago. This House Bill 477, I think it was, where they were trying to kind of block our view of some of their records. They wanted to kind of hide some of their communications between each other and things like that. And they were trying to make it it's the grandma law, I guess. And they were trying to make it a little less easy for the press and us to find what are now open records.
Right.
And they just kind of snuck it through, and it passed, and everyone
Right.
freaked out, and they're like, oh. Right, maybe we should look at this a little more. And so little things like that, it is kind of a continuing process.
Yeah,
so.
like there are people on the sidelines that are just constantly waiting for you to drop your guard. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of the. And so the song Architects is kind of about remaining ever vigilant and creating that next generation of activists who are going to continue to either fight for some sort of progression or at least protect what we already have.
Right. Do you think there there's still people doing that, and do you think there's so much noise that it's harder for people to kind of get out there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fatigue out there
Right.
in our generation. I think there's a lot of noise that's sort of distracting in our generation, but there are some signs of hope. I really believe that.
I agree too. I agree. Well, that we went from diapers to that all in one discussion.
I think we did it all.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think this will ruin every interview you ever do.
I know, right? Yeah.
Right.
I might as well just quit here right now.
I think I will too.
Yeah,
we should just
do it.
walk out of here.
Let's go to Disney. Let's go to Disney World.
Yeah, let's go to Disney World.
Yeah.
Show us tonight at the Great Saltaire. It's going to be a killer show. I'm a huge fan of the record. It's out now. Continued success to you guys. Wait, are you sports fans?
Yeah, I'm not like a day-to-day sports fan, but I certainly enjoy.
Well, you live in
sports.
Chicago. I was just
I live in
wondering if you
Chicago.
thought the Cubs were going to be any good, or if you're a Cubs or White Sox guy.
I'm a White Sox fan, actually.
You're going to be better off then. I think they're better.
Yeah, they tend to be better.
Yeah, they do.
In
I'm
spite
a
of
Cubs
the fact
fan.
that, in spite of the fact that the Cubs have more money to spend on the better
Right.
players, somehow this team on the South Side that no one really cares about tends to be better. It's really crazy.
I don't hate the White Sox, but I'm a Cubs fan,
You know
so
what?
I root for the Cubs.
And I don't hate the
but-
Cubs.
Right.
That's what I try to explain to them. Like,
Right.
I grew up going to Cubs games. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like on field trips and whatever. Like I love Wrigley Field.
Oh, it's
There's
an
nothing
American
like it.
icon,
Oh,
right?
there's nothing-
Pulling in on the train and going down to Wrigleyville, and
Totally, yeah. And you have the
Yeah.
Metro across the street, which is where I saw some of my favorite shows in the world.
Right.
It's right there in Wrigleyville. So I love that. But I was born and raised a Sox fan. And it's interesting to see where Sox fans and Cubs fans, like the type of people they are in Chicago. It's like if you go to like a monster truck or a wrestling event, all Sox fans, no Cubs hats. You know what I mean? Or if I went and saw Metallica play in Chicago, no Cubs hats.
That's hilarious.
So it's like
That's
I
funny.
feel like it's ripe for like a sociological
I was just gonna say.
investigation into the Sox and the Cubs.
A study should be done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's awesome. Well, go one of them. I hope one of them do well.
Well, yeah, I'd love to
Do
see
well this
both of them
year.
in the World Series.
Oh, that would be the best.
Wouldn't that be great?
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. Well, man, it was great to meet you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Tonight at the Great Saltaire, Rise Against. There are still a few tickets available. Pick them up. And right now, here is the latest selection, which is Stuck in My
Darby
Head Song.
94.9. Zrock.